Hi, this is Gina. Thank you for joining me today for this Astrology Chat Live for February 10th, 2025. There are a few different transits happening right now that I thought were really interesting, especially in combination. And it's easy enough to put them with the full moon signature, which is coming up in a couple of days. We'll have a full moon in Leo. But I think that they're really interesting as they stand alone, and also things will switch around a little bit by then. So, I wanted to talk about the astrology basically of Monday and Tuesday of this week as sort of an isolated thing. And I might be doing this more and more as we go because the astrology is starting to get really, really interesting. And there's just a lot to say. So it almost makes you want to come together each day to talk about the current astrology. So I'm just going to talk about each of these elements and put them together sort of as we go, because it's sort of a story that builds a little bit. Um, Thank you for being here. I am live every day doing daily astrology, and I hope that it sort of feels like hanging out with a friend who just happens to know astrology. Um, it can hopefully be helpful if you're studying astrology yourself. You can follow along with the chart and sort of that layer of what I discuss here. And if you just enjoy hearing about astrology and learning about astrology and thinking about how it applies to you, I hope that my work here benefits you as well. Okay, so let's take it sort of one element at a time. There are three main ones I'm going to put together, three different transits. And the first is this Sun Mercury conjunction. Part of the reason I want to talk about this separately from the full moon is that this is broken up just a little bit, some of these signatures, by the time we get there on Wednesday. So we're just talking about Monday and Tuesday of this week. Okay, so this Sun Mercury conjunction in Aquarius, Pluto is here as well, newly in Aquarius. So that's sort of shifting the signatures a little bit too. This is new information. This is a lot of information coming in sort of like at the intellectual level, because it's just a very strong air sign signature. What do I want to say? Okay, that it's information coming in. It could be from another person. It could be from within. That is exactly the piece I was trying to find the words for. Forgive me. Right? When we talk about new information, it doesn't necessarily mean that you get an email or a phone call or an opportunity. It could be just a new idea coming up from within. Now, let me add another signature to this, and we're just going to continue to build. I have more to say about this, but it's easier sort of as we have more added here, because this is adding to the signature. So it's important to note that for these next couple of days, Uranus here in Taurus is going to be squaring both of these planets. So when we talk about this new information that is coming in, it has a little bit of the flavor of Uranus to it as well. And that's where I'm getting the idea that it could be something that comes in quite suddenly. It could feel surprising. It could feel, shocking even, right? Like, but that doesn't mean that it's so big and awful. It's just like, whoa, I never thought of that before. I never heard of that. I never would have thought of that. It feels really new and different. And the new and different I'm bringing in partially because of all this Aquarius, especially with Pluto newly there. And Aquarius is very future thinking. It's very oriented toward what's next. And so this little agitation from Uranus as well, I feel like it's saying something about how the information that could be coming in at this time, whether it's from another source or from within ourselves, could feel sudden, surprising, sort of electrifying in some way, like just it sort of can ignite us, especially with the sun there. It adds that sort of fire to the signature in terms of a spark, a quickness. And there's a lot of quickness in the air right now anyway with Venus in Aries. I feel like there's a fast pace element to the skies right now because of that. But that's actually not one of the elements I want to talk about. The next really, really important one that I want to add in, and then we can sort of like put it all together a little bit, is another really critical one and something else that's sort of going to break up a little bit. We have Mars here working with Saturn in a lovely trine. Mars and Saturn are sort of, can be challenging planets. They can, in that they can help us get things done, which often means some hard work. Uh, but I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, but it just sometimes can show where we're having to get things done, where we can't take things the way they are anymore, where we have to say something. But when you put Saturn and Mars together in a trine, it's actually sort of just productive energy. It's feeling really motivated and uh, confident and ready to move something forward and really do something about something. So I just think it's interesting to have the combination of these elements all at the same time, right? We have this new idea that comes in perhaps quite suddenly, or this new information, this new spark of air energy in some way, like this new learning, this new way of thinking about things. Might be really interesting just to sort of consider, like, what are you thinking about right now? What's on your mind? And what is new and different, or sort of takes you by surprise a little bit, feels like it's more about the future than about the past. We have so many thoughts every day that are thoughts we've thought before. What thoughts are you thinking that you haven't thought before? That might be interesting to pay attention to at this time. And then it's just a great time to sort of get things done, to move things forward, to make things happen with this Mars Saturn trine coming in as well. So I don't think we necessarily need to act on this sudden information coming in from the Sun Uranus Mercury square, but we might feel like we want to, or we might just be very productive doing something else. Yeah, it could be, working away at work, just being very, very productive, or even just working away cleaning your house or something, and then some new idea coming to you that really feels different and maybe a little agitating. This is a square here between these planets. And so it might be a little uncomfortable. I think it's that it can throw us off a little bit because it can feel a little bit new and different. So, you know, February and March, the astrology of February and March and April of 2025 is particularly dynamic. And it's the kind of astrology that makes you want to talk about astrology every day and break down the current charts because there is just so much sort of moving and changing. That's what I do here. It's a great time to stay plugged into astrology, whether it's with me or with someone else. But just to say that this continues to move. When this moon continues on, and in a few days we have the full moon in Leo, that's a different energy. Some things have sort of progressed and changed. And I'll do a video about that too. I also have horoscopes on my channel for February that are quite detailed. You might want to check those out. For your rising sign is best, but your sun sign works too if you don't know your rising sign. And just thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow. I hope you have a great day. Thank you.